Welcome in to Lock and Live for College Football Week 3 with Uncle Phil and the Railbird. Thanks for joining us this Saturday morning. Uncle Phil, Railbird, how are you doing this morning?
Man, I'm excited, man. I feel like that I have kind of been just missing out on a good weekend. I feel like this weekend's my weekend. I feel like things are getting ready to pop. I had so many games today that I had to narrow down into my notebook that I feel like that I left some really good games off the notebook today. But man, I'm really excited. Went 2-0 on Thursday night on NFL football. And I feel like that momentum is going to carry through. I felt like that Washington scored and they got a 2-point conversion, which enabled me to not only hit my teaser, but also I had a 2-point window where I went live and took Green Bay at -7.5, and I had a teaser at Washington at +10. That was half of it, and I only could hit both if I went 8 and 9, and I number 8 and 9. That's what it finished. It finished at 9, so hit both. I felt like things are finally starting to break my way after kind of a horrendous first 2 weeks as far as things not breaking my way, and yet I still was profitable in the first 2 weeks. So today's about to be a big breakout day, I feel like.
Yeah, Phil, why did they go for 2 there? There was not a strategic advantage to get it to 9, but I'm glad they did. I'm glad you hit that middle. That was great. But when they lined up for 2, as I was watching, I was like, oh, wow, Phil can get it all right here.
It's the book. It's the book.
But I don't know why they did it.
Everybody's got their analytics book. In the NFL, the book said go for 2 at that point, especially on the road. Yeah.
It was just to cut it from 10 to 9. Didn't really try to get 2 more possessions. But anyway, I'm glad you hit that. Maybe kind of help make up for Missouri trying to run the clock out last week on us. And to get that Kansas cover, and they run for a 60-yard touchdown anyway with a minute left.
Don't forget Ole Miss last week. Lane Kiffin
field goal with the last 20 seconds or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, his apology, while appreciated, didn't really help me, So
right. Yeah. I know. Yes, we got some of those coming our way down the line somewhere. So we'll move forward and see what we got today.
Absolutely. I felt like that Thursday night game was the turning of the tide, and the things are about to start coming back to us. I feel like this weekend's going to be a big weekend. You feel good about this weekend, Lang?
I do. I have many games that I like, many games that I have played, and I didn't have any games that are necessarily elevated way above the others. I think I'm going to have one next week, but we'll talk about that some other time.
Yeah, bet. Good tease.
I'm waiting on a game next week.
Let's turn the tide. Let's get into it. Week 3 college football. A lot of good games today. Uncle Phil, let's just jump right in. Where are you heading first?
Yeah, headed first to Baton Rouge. And we're going to see Florida come in to see play LSU. Both these 2 teams, obviously, Florida blew out Long Island University very first week, 55-0. But after that, they really struggled last week at home against kind of what I think is a mediocre South Florida team, only scoring 17. LSU scored 17 against Clemson, but only managed 23 last week again at home versus Louisiana Tech. I think this goes under, and I'm taking the under 47.5 for my first best bet. My second best bet, sorry guys, it just kind of works out this way, but it's right around the same time, so you're gonna have to split your screen. Hopefully you've got YouTube and throw up the quad box. But it's Notre Dame. Texas A&M's coming to visit. I think Texas A&M, or I think Notre Dame is better than you think they are, and I think that Marcus Freeman had a week to just really get in their rear end and light a fire. And so I think you see a Notre Dame team at home that's really motivated, and they're not going 0-2. Texas A&M, on the other hand, I think is not as good as you think they are. I've watched a couple of the first 2 games. I don't think they're as good. Mike Elko, everybody loves him. I hear analysts on TV all the time talk about how much they love Mike Elko. But I did see Marcel Reed last week in about the third quarter lined up against the sidelines. He was against the stands, and he was signing autographs. in the third quarter of the game. So that felt very Jimbo-esque to me. And so for me, I see some things I don't like there. I think Notre Dame takes them to woodshed tonight. I'm taking Notre Dame -6.5 as my other best bet. But like I said, I have got 7 total games in my notebook today, and I feel good about all of them. I could have circled any one of them today that I really, really like. So I feel like this is going to be a big weekend.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Notre Dame just needs to get the ball to the running backs in the first half of this game, unlike what they did when they were in Miami. It's like they forgot they had Jeremiah Love.
What are you doing? I mean, you got 2 of the best running backs in the nation, especially Jeremiah Love. You thought he was going to be this all-star this year, and you didn't even hand the ball. I don't know how many carries he had.
I know at one time, I think starting the fourth quarter, he had 4 carries. I think he ended up with 9 or something like that. But that's not enough.
Was under 10. I thought it was 7, but either way, it was definitely under 10. You're right, and either way, not a good look for them. But man, Lang, where are you headed today? What's your 2 best bets?
Well, my first best bet, I'm staying here in the state of Arkansas, going to Jonesboro, Arkansas, Iowa State against Arkansas State today. I got to see Arkansas State firsthand last week against Arkansas here in Little Rock. And I'll tell you what, their defense is not good. It's not good at all. Their offense kind of sputtered a little bit last week. I don't know if the moment was kind of too big for them or what, but their offense is better than what they showed last week. Meanwhile, Iowa State has played 2 of their big 3 rivals in the first 3 weeks in Kansas State and then the game last week. And against Kansas State and Iowa. And this game's going to go over the total of 55.5 or 56. I know Iowa State might be in a sleepy spot here, but they're going to score 40 points today on Arkansas State. I think Arkansas State can get to 20. This game's going to go over. For my second best bet, I know that you had said what you thought was a mediocre South Florida team, and I'm going against that team today. I'm taking Miami. I'm laying the 17.5. I don't think South Florida has a good enough team to dial it up 3 straight weeks and pull a third upset. I know they don't have to win the game to cover the spread, but they're going on the road for the second week in a row. Florida had 11 penalties last week, and I don't know, they had a couple of touchdowns called back by penalty. I just think this is a game that last year Miami led 22-15 at halftime, outscored South Florida 28-0 in the second half. I can see something like that happening today where South Florida hits a wall sometime late in the first half, early in the second half, and Miami pulls away.
Man, I love those bets, especially that last one. That one was end up on the cutting room floor. I just couldn't fit any more than 7. I typically give out 6, but 7 in my best bets today in my notebook. But that one was part of my big board. I think I started off with about 20, 25 games that I really, really liked. I really believe that. I think Florida last week, well, I know Florida last week, they were undisciplined. They were poorly coached. DJ Lagway looked like it was his first game ever of playing football, didn't know what to do. The chance of Billy Napier getting fired are growing, but that's not going to happen until the end of the season. It's just it would just wreck their team. Too many people would enter the transfer portal. And I'm not sure it's going to happen at the end of the game or end of the season, just because it's a $20.4 million buyout, and half of that is due in the first 30 days that they do it. And they've got this. So they've also got this other little clause in his contract where he can actually go play or actually go coach for another team, and they still have to keep paying him. So he's got the contract of all contracts. I don't think he's going anywhere. Too bad for Florida. They've certainly got the talent. They are just undisciplined and poorly coached. Yeah,
because of that Florida game last week, Miami has their full attention on South Florida. Easy to coach them up this week. I look for a big effort from the Hurricanes.
Agreed.
Definitely. Well, good stuff, guys. Looking forward to your games today. Let's get to the questions. Best part of the show. First on the line, we got Andreas. He says, hey, what's your thoughts on the Georgia Tech Clemson game?
Look, that was a game that almost made it for me as well. I truly, in my heart of hearts, I think this is a bounce back game for Clemson. I think this is an opportunity to buy low for them. People have given up. People have written off Clemson. Everybody's saying Clemson's a bad team. Clemson's got a lot of talent. I think that they've got too much pride in their program. I think this is an opportunity to really buy low on Clemson. I know that everybody's high on Georgia Tech. Haynes King got hurt in the Colorado game, week 1. What didn't play last week is hurt, still banged up this week. I don't think this is the same Georgia Tech team that you think that they are. And I think this is an opportunity to buy low on Clemson, especially at only -3. I think Clemson takes them to woodshed. But the real big money today, big money is on the under for that game. And I think that's probably the play for this one. Just me personally think it's Clemson. I probably think Clemson's probably getting them by 2 scores, but I would take the under as well. Lang, any thoughts on that game?
I believe Clemson has won this game nine times in a row. They've 7-1-1 against the spread in those games. If Clemson is going to get right, today's going to be the day. With that line early in the week, I thought I was going to take Georgia Tech. With their +6, +5.5. I saw all the way down in some shops to -2.5 today. At that number, I'd have to take Clemson and force Georgia Tech to beat me.
Definitely. All right, guys. Thanks for the question, Andreas. Next up on the line, we got Rob D on X. He says, any feel for the Tulane Duke game?
I do. It's in my notebook, so I'm out on it. Lang, what do you got?
This is a game that almost made my sheet. Duke didn't do us right last week. I had Duke as a play against Illinois, and if you look at the box score of total yards, they were equal with Illinois. The problem was in a 26-point loss where the yards are even, go down there and check out turnovers. 5 turnovers for Duke, none for Illinois. I think Duke and quarterback Darian Mensah going back to Tulane, I think they bounced back today. Let's clean up the turnovers. I like Duke in this game today.
Alrighty. Hey, well, thanks for that, Real Bird, and thanks for the question there, Rob D. Next on the line, we got Woody. Woody, good to see you, man. He says, is Oregon -26.5 rat poison?
Man, I think it could be, but I would ride the horse till she bucked me, and I would ride Oregon. I think Oregon's potentially the best team in the entire nation. One that also fell off my sheet that I just didn't bet it, but I like Oregon, and I think Northwestern's bad. I mean, I just don't think they're very good at all. And Oregon finally has a team. I mean, it's not only they've always had elite offensive skill people, but now that they've entered the Big Ten, they've really stepped up on their game with NIL, with line, and that's on both sides of the ball. The defense this year, they've got a defense. They are trending right now. I think they've got top 3 defense in the nation right now, and that's what you got to have if you're winning at all. The past 5 national champions all have had top 3 defenses. Oregon's got that. Plus, they've got a quarterback in Dante Moore, I think still the best kept secret in the nation. It's phenomenal. I certainly wouldn't be playing Northwestern in that game. Lang, you seem to think it is rat poison. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to say yes and no. I think that obviously some money coming in on Northwestern. This line was pushing 28 earlier in the week. It's 26.5 now.
Yep.
If you want to play Northwestern, I would advocate playing Northwestern first half. I mean, this game kicks off at 11 o'clock. That's a 9 o'clock a.m. body time game for Oregon. Maybe a slow start. Maybe Northwestern has a good script here for their first 15 or 20 plays and can get a score, which would, I don't know what the first half number is. If I could see taking Northwestern if I could get 14 in the first half. I think over the course of the game, I think you're right. I think Oregon is going to stretch it out, and it won't shock me either to cover the number. I'm staying away from it, but I do think Oregon potentially is off to a slow start this game because of the time it kicks.
Could be. Northwestern's going to grow that grass high for this game to try to slow Oregon down. But look, you see last week how Oregon, even they they do not slow down their offense. They run their offense. It's not their job to slow them down. It's your job to stop them. And Dan Lanning kept the foot on the gas last week, 69 points versus Oklahoma State. Even though the coaches were laughing and joking, there was none of that. There was no ill will to start the game. Oregon and Dan Lanning just ran their offense. And that's the great thing about them. You want coaches, that are going to cover. You want somebody that's not going to take their foot off the gas. You want somebody who's going to keep the hammer down. And I think Dan Lanning gives you that opportunity. Steve Spurrier used to be that way. I think Dan Lanning is kind of that way. He's not as much of an ass as Spurrier was, but at least he still keeps the hammer down. And that's kind of the guy you want to look for when you're betting somebody you can trust. I think he's that guy.
He's got a little bit of that in him, but not a whole lot of it.
He's got a little bit.
Yeah, I'm all for it, but yeah, he's got a little bit of that in it, but not full blown yet.
Yep.
Alrighty. Hey, well, Woody, thanks for the question. Good to see you, and best of luck today. Next up on the line, we got Braden Norris from X. Good to see you, Braden. He says, let's get after it this weekend. Any thoughts on Wisconsin plus 19 at Alabama in Tuscaloosa?
Wisconsin's without their starting quarterback this week. It's a good question. Alabama is really on my list. I want to watch them. I mean, they just absolutely destroyed Louisiana last week and just took them to the woodshed. Looked like a little bit of a Alabama team that's looking for a little bit of, trying to get some respect back after laying an egg against Florida State. But guess what? Florida State is actually kind of pretty good. It's a big number, but I'm leaning toward Alabama, but I want to see more today. I want to see more of Alabama. I want to watch that game and see if Alabama gets Ryan Williams back after I hope he doesn't, that's the thing about DeBoer is hopefully he doesn't put him in the slot again. He's not a slot guy. He is an outside wide receiver. He's a straight line speed kind of guy with some moves, but you put him inside, you're going to get him crushed again. He's not that guy. He's not that type of footwork, and you're going to get him killed. And so hopefully DeBoer's learned his lesson and actually lines him up in the outside, lines him up wide like he should be. So I'm eager to see what he's going to do with that and see if he's figured that out. It's really Ryan Grubbs, but DeBoer's got to sign off on that. But either way, I would lean toward Alabama there. I feel like that they've got to prove something that people have kind of written them off from the national conversation. Today's kind of a, let's really see what they've got. I know they beat up on Louisiana last week. Can they do it against Wisconsin Day? Lane, got any thoughts about this game?
This is not a game I'm playing, but I agree with what you said there. I would lean Alabama. Need to see more from quarterback Ty Simpson. Need to see Alabama run the ball against a Power 4 team better than what they have for maybe any time since DeBoer's been there. But I do know that if I got to the window to play Wisconsin, I would be scared the entire game. So I can't do that. But I'm not going to advocate playing Alabama. That's just where I would lean.
Yeah. Agreed.
Sweet. Hey, well, thanks for the question, Braden, and best of luck today. Next up, we got Goose. Goose, good to see you, man. He says, is Georgia minus 3.5 a trap? Uncle Phil?
Man, I think this is a super interesting game. This is one of the last games I took off my board today. But I wasn't playing the 3.5. What I had was the under in that game, and I think that's the ticket. Look, Gunnar Stockton's not throwing it. He's not throwing it very far. Most of his completions are really short. They're screens. He's got one of the worst completion percentages over 10 yards of any quarterback in the nation. I just don't think that Gunnar Stockton is, very accurate. I feel like this team is not the same. This is not the same Georgia team. So I want to see what they do. I like Aguilar of Tennessee, their quarterback. Tennessee also has one of the highest pressure rates of any team. Georgia's offensive line is that great. Georgia's defensive line, Georgia's defense doesn't have any guys projected as first-round picks this year. And that is a first for Georgia, where we're used to seeing at least 2, 3, and even 4 guys projected from Georgia's defense. I think if you're betting Georgia today, you're kind of betting based on what they've been, not really who they are. I'm anxious to see this game. I think we'll learn a lot about these teams and find out who they are. Me, I lean toward Tennessee, and I lean toward a lower scoring game. Lang, what do you lean toward?
I played Georgia today.
Did you?
I did play Georgia. They've won this game 8 straight years. The last 6 years, they've covered the spread in this game. Heupel against Kirby Smart. Heupel's offense versus Smart's defense has not meshed well at all. Georgia has won the last 4 games by an average of around 25 points a game. Tennessee's starting cornerbacks are, I believe, out today. Maybe that'll help Gunnar Stockton get the ball downfield a little bit. We'll see. Aguiar, he's obviously the key to the game. I'm betting he has turnover-worthy plays. The way to score and beat Georgia is throw the ball over the top. And the last few times they've played, Tennessee has not been able to complete those passes. Aguiar is going to attempt that maybe twice a quarter. And if he connects on a couple of those for big touchdowns, I'm going to lose. Tennessee's going to cover, probably win the game. But Aguiar also, in his last 2 years at App State, is turnover prone. 24 interceptions the last 2 years. He doesn't have one so far this year, but with the exotic blitzes and stuff that Georgia runs, I don't think they've showed anything that they can do versus their first 2 games. We'll see if Kirby dials it up today, kind of like they did when they went to Texas last year, kind of sleepwalking, and they went there and smashed the Longhorns the first time. Stockton's going on the road. That's something, too, that you got to see. It's his first big road game. It's in front of 100,000 people. He can run a little bit, though, so maybe he can escape some pressure if Tennessee gets pressure on him. I have played Georgia. I expect Georgia to win this game again.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for that, Uncle Phil and Real Bird. We'll take one more question before we take off for the rest of the day. We got MP Affiliate on X. He says, any opinion on OU versus Temple? He says he's leaning OU.
That was one of the other last games I took off the board today. All the big money is on Temple today, and I would have played Temple as well. Again, teams at the very first of the year lose their very first games. Kids are very emotional. Next game is typically a letdown game. You look at all those teams, whether it was Texas last week, didn't cover. Those teams, you look at all the teams that lost in the first week, didn't cover in the second week. Look at Clemson, played a terrible first half. If anything, typically the way those games play out is if you're like, I just can't play Temple for the full game, then maybe look at this. Take Temple first half, because typically that's the letdown time. And then the second half, coach gets after them pretty good, and then Michigan will come back and play pretty fired up. But also remember, Michigan. Just remember also Michigan, their coach is serving a 2-game suspension this week as well. So they're going to be coached by interim coach Biff Porgy. If you remember that guy, just remember the guy last year. Remember the really big guy, really overweight guy who coached for Charlotte last year. He wore cutoff sweatshirts, and it came down. The armhole came halfway down his side. Looked just kind of slobbish. I mean, the guy is literally he ran a hedge fund. He's a billionaire. He's just doing this for fun. But that's the guy. He just doesn't look like a billionaire. But that's the guy who's going to be running Michigan's team this year. Obviously, not very successful at Charlotte. We'll see how he does today. I wouldn't be you asked OU Temple. Is it OU Temple Day or Michigan?
It's OU.
It's OU Temple.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Michigan, Central Michigan.
Look, my apologies. OU is a different deal. I still think it's a little bit of a letdown after an emotional game with this. They're going on the road to Temple. I think it's going to be a kind of a dead environment. Again, I would still take Temple to do that. And the big money is on that. My apologies, guys.
Yeah, I also, to me, this game is very similar to the Oregon game at Northwestern. Oklahoma going to Philadelphia. I believe it's an early kickoff as well. A body clock game for Oklahoma, coming off a huge win. Maybe sleepwalking there in the first quarter or so. If I was playing this game, which I'm not, I would take Temple early. I can see Oklahoma getting margin in the second half. Personally, I hope John Mateer has another big game for my Heisman Trophy ticket. I think you have some on him too, Phil. So, we need a big game from Mateer. And if that means Oklahoma blows them out and I'm wrong on the first half, so be it. I don't have anything on this game.
All righty. Hey, well, thanks for the question, MP. Looking forward to that game as well. Uncle Phil, Railbird, before we wrap up here, any final thoughts? We're about an hour before kickoff for week.
Railbird, any final thoughts for you?
No, I'm anxious to see this Ole Miss Arkansas game tonight is intriguing to me. See which quarterback is going to play for Ole Miss. A lot of rumors out there. Austin Simmons may or may not play, or if he does play, he's hampered with the injury he suffered at the end of the game last week. And to see what Arkansas's defense really might have. This tell me something about Arkansas going forward as they play into Memphis and into SEC play. Notre Dame in 2 weeks, so it's a big game there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's going to be a good weekend. Should be a lot of fun games. Looks like a lot of the big games tonight are stacked in the prime time hour around the 7 p.m. Eastern time. So 7:30. So it should be a lot of fun. Look, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I feel like this is going to be a big weekend for me, both college and pro. I'm excited about this weekend, and I'm ready to have one of those breakout weekends, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys coming by today. Hope you learned something. Really have great questions. Always appreciate those as well. Guys, for Railbird, for Matt, I'm Uncle Phil. Guys, always.